I am going to explain some big mistakes people are making with movement, specifically with back pain, why it's not fixing your back pain, why it's making your back pain worse, and how to fix these things very simply. So let's jump into it. Obviously, any questions, just drop them in the chat down below. So let's jump straight into it. First movement that a lot of people get wrong is the hinge. So a lot of people think about a hinge like a deadlift, and that's the wrong way to think about a hinge. So big muscles leave clues, and essentially when you're hinging, the only thing we want to be moving is your hips. We want your back to be in a nice relaxed position, and the reason for this is the point of a hinge is to train the muscles that should be doing most of the work. In this case, the glutes are significantly bigger and stronger than your lower back muscles or your back muscles in general, and so they should be taking most of the load in the hinge. So if you're getting back pain with hinging movements like deadlifts, most of the time most people don't have weak backs or weak lower backs. They're actually using their back too much, and we need to offset some of that load onto the glutes. So how do they do that? Well, we do something that's called a kickstand hinge, which is this screenshot down below, and I'm going to get into actually how to do this in a video in a second. But the basic principles: neutral spine, so we're not extended, we're not slouched, we're nice and relaxed through our back. Our bum is going to go back and our weight is going to stay forward. You're going to get a big stretch in your glutes in that bottom position, and when we don't want to load the hamstrings or the lower back. So how do we actually do this? I'll play this through. So stand on one leg, slight knee bend to get your weight forward, and you'll notice my hand position. Opposite hand into that hip crease, and then my other hand is going to go over my glute. And then the back leg is just going down for a little bit of a tripod support, just to help me with balance. From here, I'm going to hinge. So all that's going to happen is I'm going to maintain that bend on that front leg. My bum is going to go back and my weight is going to stay forward. So you'll notice it's a different cue usually from a deadlift or an RDL, which is hips back and weight back into your heels. Whereas if you watch me here, you can see my heel is actually coming off the floor a little bit on this left leg, which is good. It means my weight is staying forward. I'm going to go as low as I can while maintaining a neutral spine, which for me is about here. And I can feel my glutes really stretching this bottom position. I'm going to hold there for a few seconds. And you can see how I'm trying to pull my weight further and further forward. Heels coming off the floor, absolutely fine. I'm going to hold there. And then to stand back up, all you do is just squeeze through your glutes like you would do in a deadlift. So this exercise is more of a hold in this bottom position. But essentially what it's training you to do is use your glutes and not your lower back. So hopefully that makes sense. The way I program this is either daily as part of a mobility routine, 1 to 2 sets of 5 reps, or as part of a more strength-based routine 3 times a week, starting with a similar rep scheme, but 3 to 4 sets of 5 reps, and then looking to add some weight in there eventually. This is what I would class as a poor hinge. Now, you've got to understand here, when I'm talking about hinging and deadlifts, I'm not talking about the most efficient way to move the most weight. I'm talking about what is going to help your back pain and what's the best way to move, which are 2 different things. So just take that into account. I'm not saying that deadlifts are bad, and if you want to lift a lot of weight doing deadlifts, don't take any notice of this. But if you actually want to fix your back pain and move better, take notice. So I've screenshot this thing of Larry Wheels because this is a phenomenal deadlift, a lot of weight, but he's actually executing a really poor hinge because he's quite flexed through his spine. His bum is back, his weight is back instead of forward, and here he's got a very stiff deadlift, so he's getting a lot of stretch in his hamstrings and a lot of stress on his lower back, which again isn't necessarily a bad thing, but in the case of improving a hinge, it can be, and it usually is with people who are dealing with back pain. The next thing that people get wrong or people don't think about is the feet. Now, why are the feet actually really important when it comes to fixing back pain? Well, they're the foundation of the whole body. They allow us to create tension through the ground, which then improves movement further up the chain. So then it improves your hip mobility and it allows you to take a lot of tension and stress out of the hips and out of your back because you can actually put pressure through your feet properly. So essentially we've got tension in the feet, which then takes tension away from the back and the hips. Hopefully that makes sense. Healthy feet, what do they need to be able to do? Well, very simply, in my eyes, they need to be able to do two things. The first one is when you're walking or running, you need to be able to feel the different foot pressures. So you need to be able to heel strike well. Most people can do that. Then you need to be able to feel the pressure in the middle of your foot, and then you need to do what's called toe off. So you need to feel forefoot strike, but you need to feel the pressure in the front of your foot at your toes. Most people, a lot of people with back pain, go from a heel strike straight to toe off. So they fail to understand this midfoot position. And it sounds really trivial and it sounds like it doesn't make a big difference to people, but it does, because you essentially don't know how to create pressure through your foot and put power down through the ground. The second thing is your ability to pronate and supinate your foot. All pronation is what these feet are doing here. So essentially your arch is rolled in, and supination is your arches rolled out, shown down here as well. Neither one of these positions is good or bad. A lot of people will tell you flat feet are bad or really high arches are bad. Neither one is good or bad. You just need to be able to access both positions. It's like training your elbow through a full range of motion. If you only train it through a partial range of motion instead of all the way out and all the way in, it's not going to feel great because the muscles, everything isn't being taken through a full range of motion. It's the exact same thing. So, common issues, like I said, people understanding foot pressure, especially understanding midfoot pressure, and people then also can't control the arch, or they can't move from a supinated foot, so a high arch, and then actually close that arch off to pronate their foot. Pronation drills. So let's just jump into this. This is a video I sent over to a client. So I'm just going to shut up for a minute. That'd be useful. So I'll run through both now. So the half rep. I'm just going to turn the volume off here. So all we're doing here, I'm in a staggered stance. I've got a negative shin angle, so my shin is behind my ankle. The pressure is in my heel, and then all I'm going to do is rock forward and bend my knee, and then the pressure will transfer to the middle of my foot. I don't want my heel coming off the floor. That's what I'm demonstrating, and I don't want your toes coming up off the floor. So all it is, negative shin angle, pressure in the heel, pressure into the middle of the foot. Oops. That'd be useful. So why is that not letting me do that? That'd be useful. Apologies. Perfect, there we go. So I'll just let it play through. So bending the knee, negative shin angle. As we have a negative shin angle, you notice that my arch is open, which is supination. And then as we bend the knee, we want to close off that arch. So you always want to let the knee roll in. And I'm also just explaining that you can stick a sock or a bit of cloth underneath your arch to actually feel the difference. So you can see my arch closing off. I'm going to then use a bit of cloth so I can feel it opening and closing. So negative shin angle, the arch is open. Positive shin angle, knee coming over the toe, the arch is closed. It's really that simple. And again, I know a lot of you don't think this translates to back pain, but it does massively because it allows you to put more pressure through the floor and take tension off your back. The next key movement that a lot of people get wrong is the squat. So again, big muscles leave clues. It's not rocket science here. You look at the muscles of the body and you look and ask yourself, why are certain muscles bigger than others? There's a reason for this. And when it comes to the squat, your quads and your glutes, again, are bigger and stronger muscles than your lower back and your back muscles. So they should be taking the load. Again, most people don't have weak lower backs. Their lower backs or their backs are actually doing too much of the work. So what does a good squat look like? Well, ideally you have a neutral spine, so you're not extended, you're not flexed. And in my definition of a squat, it's where your hips, they don't move back, they obviously don't move forward, they're just moving up and down. So this is a great example here of this Chinese weightlifter in the bottom of a squat. And your knees come forward, not miles out to the side, and your quads and a bit of glutes as well, not much lower back. Now I appreciate we're not all built like this Chinese weightlifter, but we can all aspire to move a bit more like that. A bad squat, again, this isn't about moving a lot of weight, this is actually about just improving your back pain and moving better overall, being healthy. This is a bad squat from the point of view that either you're extended in your spine or you're flexed through your spine, your hips move back, your knees don't really move, and so most of the load is on your lower back and your glutes, no quad involvement, okay? Very simple. Solution, the simplest solution, is just to elevate your heels using a slant board, like this guy's doing in this picture here, or some plates under your heels. Try to narrow up for most people and point your toes a bit more forward. This will allow you to get your knees a bit more over your toes, sit more upright in the squat, and get your quads more involved, a bit of glute in that bottom position, and it'll take the stress off your lower back. Fourth thing I want to cover is the spine. So, what is the spine designed to do? It's designed to flex, which is bend forward. It's designed to extend, which is extend back. It's designed to side bend, and it's also designed to rotate. So, a lot of you might have seen videos like this on YouTube or on Instagram about core stability. You might have seen an exercise like this, which is, I think it's a dead bug sort of variation, where essentially this guy is trying to keep his lower back flat into the floor while he moves limbs away from each other. So you're trying to get a really stiff and quote unquote strong core. The problem with this, I find, for 99% of people, is people who have back pain usually have a very stiff back. And so if someone has a very stiff joint, stiff area, what you don't want to do is put more stiffness into that area. You actually want to get the spine moving, just like any other joint. Again, I go back to the elbow example because it's the most simple. If you only take your elbow, let's say, through this range of motion, instead of all the way out, extended, and then all the way through flexion, there's going to be problems. Same thing with your spine. Another thing quickly to note, it's not that I don't want you to train the spine, because we'll get onto this in a minute. It's just that in the movements that I've talked about, the hinge and the squat, I don't want the spine to be doing most of the load, if that makes sense. Okay, so it's still an important thing to train. It's not that you should avoid training at all costs. It's just when you're hinging and squatting, you don't want it to be doing the work. It's not designed to be doing most of the work there. Fifth player, big thing, is the rib cage. Why is this so important? Well, this picture demonstrates it so well. Look how big the rib cage actually is. Look how many things it ties into. It ties into so many different muscle groups, and it's a massive part of the body. This is why it matters. And just like any other joint, in this case it's more of a structure, it's a collection of joints, it needs to be taken through its full range of motion when you're inhaling, breathing in, and exhaling, breathing out. So it needs to be expanding and compressing. If we can get the rib cage to expand and compress well, then it can loosen up a lot of space, get a lot of muscles and tissues loosened off and working around your back and around your core. So 2 simple exercises to get the whole spine moving and get the rib cage moving. So first off, we have got some pelvic tilts. So nip the volume off on there. All you're going to do, lie on your back. Imagine your pelvis is a bottle of water, and like I'm doing here, I'm going to roll my pelvis forward. So I've got a gap under my lower back, a little bit of an arch in my back, and then I'm going to tip and roll my pelvis back so my lower back is flat into the floor. I'm also pairing some breathing with this to get the rib cage moving as well. The arching will get the lower back moving, a tuck and the arch. And as we arch, so if we start in this arch position, you're going to inhale smoothly through your nose, and then as you tuck and you flatten into the floor, you're going to exhale smoothly through your mouth. Very, very simple. So it's really good because you're getting the spine moving and the rib cage, 2 massive structures. Really, really nice. And you can do this one daily. 1 to 2 sets, 8 to 10 breaths. Very, very, very good. The next one is what's called a floor cog. And this is just slightly different because this time we're going to get the whole spine moving instead of just the lower back. So if we start in this arch position, the other thing we're going to add in here is we're going to tuck our chin. You can see here I've got a nice little double chin, and what that's doing is it's getting the cervical spine, your neck involved, and your thoracic spine as well. So it's connecting the whole chain. So you're going to tuck your chin as you arch down here, and then you're going to look up behind you as you flatten into the floor down here. So you'll see, tuck with your chin as you arch. I'm trying to get the hang of it again. There you go. And then look behind you as you flatten. And again, you compare the breathing with this. So you'd inhale as you tuck through your mouth, through your nose, and then exhale through your mouth as you look behind. So now we're getting the whole spine mobilized, getting the whole spine moving, and getting the rib cage involved with the breathing as well. Cool. That's everything for that little presentation, little live stream. Hopefully that was useful. Any questions, just stick them in the comments down below. If you want some more advice around your back pain, I've got 31 ways to fix it. Just check out the top link down below. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.